Have you ever mixed a track, listened back to it, thought to yourself, something's missing? It's good, it's not great. It's missing depth, it's missing punch, it's missing clarity, warmth, analog vibes. That was me a couple of months ago, sitting right here thinking, how can I get my music to sound like it was mixed using analog gear? Now, I'm fully in the box. I don't have the luxury of using outboard gear. So I started looking around to see what I can use to get my mixes to have that vibe, that sound, that feel that I was missing. I even went to ChatGPT, who gave me some good ideas on different plugins that I can use. Then I started seeing ads from Sonimus for N Console. I thought, okay, this looks good. Check the reviews, 5 stars, loads of good feedback saying how amazing it makes their music sound. Listen to their different audio examples and they were good. So I thought, let me try this out. But unfortunately, there was no demo. So I was in two minds whether or not to get it because I didn't want to waste money again on a plugin that wasn't going to give me the results that I was looking for. I bought the N Console, tried it on the mix, and yeah, it gave me what I was looking for. It gave me that sound that I was looking for. It gave me the depth. It gave me the warmth. It just made a difference when I turned it on, and I just liked how it sounded. So what I did is I reached out to Sonimus, told them what I thought of the plugin and how good it is. And shout out to Sonimus, they sent me the A Console to review. So I'm going to show you this A Console and what it can do to your mixes. So the A Console is Sonimus's take on an iconic vintage console, the API 1604, when it's in a certain mode. There's 3 different modes, which I'm going to show you. So it's based on the API 1604 and the API 1608. So even though it's modeled on that, it's an emulation of outboard gear, but it's got its own little style that they've imprinted on it. Now, I've never used the API 1604 or 1608. So I don't know, I can't compare that, but all I know is what it's doing to my mixes. So I'm going to show you how I've been using the A Console in my workflow and show you an overview of the actual plugin and all its different modes and functions. That's going to help you to get the sound, get you away from your mixes sounding sterile and flat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the beat with the A Console bypassed, and then I'm going to take it out of bypass. Tell me if you can hear the difference. So if you listen to the bass, especially the bass, it just feels a bit more thick, a bit more warm. And the rest of the instruments sound a lot more separated. Let's go again. It just gives it a nice feel, which I like. So let me just run you through all the different parameters on the A Console and just talk you through how to use it, how to get the best out of it. First up, got the A Console. You want to have that on your first insert. So there's quite a bit in this little plugin. So at the top here, didn't know you could do that. So at the top, you've got your console options, select module, select control values, and mastering group, which I'll talk about in a bit. You can change the size, you can change the oversampling. You can click about just to read through the manual, which is always a good idea. Then you've got your VU meter and you've got different calibrations. It's usually set to 18 dBFS default. Then you've got your channel fader. You've got a push button that can add some more slight boosted gain and saturation, warm and hot. And then you've got your cogwheel. You can use the trimmers drive, which means once that's in, you can use the fader to add more saturation. You can turn it on to meter pre, so you can see the meters. You can see what the meter's doing before the fader. which is something I'll talk about in a sec. And then you've got your filter pre's, then you've got your, do I look really bright today? Then you've got your gain knob, and you've got a mix knob, dry and wet and dry, which is always nice. So you can use it as a parallel. And then you've got your filters, high cut and low cut filters, which is very musical. I'll show you what the filters look like when they're doing its thing. So if you see here, so when the plugin's turned off, flat response. Turn it on, it's giving us a slight little boost in the low end and a nice little dip at the top end. So we're going to cut some highs, and you can see how it's cutting highs, and that's just nice and musical. It's nothing sharp, that's really nice sounding. And then with the lows, just got a really nice slope. And like I said, with the push, you didn't get a slight boost in volume and some slight saturation. Lovely. With the A console, you want to put it on your first insert, and you want to use the A console. You want to use it to gain stage your sounds. So for the kick, they say for the kicks and the drum to use 26 dBFS just to give yourself some more headroom. So I put it in meter pre. And it's telling me in my fader that it's 12, 13 dB. So I want to bring that down to around -18, -16 on the fader channel inside Logic. Moving on to the snare, I want to show you why I used the meter pre, because if I take it out of meter pre and I try to gain stage it, it's going to be a bit messy. Here's why. I'll put it onto 0. It's 26 dBFS. Now that's the meter's telling me that I need to boost the signal to get to about 0 dBFS on this VU meter. So if I do that, so if I gain stage this snare and it's on 0 dB on the actual A console, you can see it's way too loud inside Logic. So that's why when you put into meter pre, you've got the option to turn down the volume, turn down the gain, and it's not going to affect the meter reading. It's just going to turn it down there. So it's going to turn it down in Logic, which is exactly what we want, without affecting that. So I can bring that down to about 18. Let's bring it down to -18. So that's looking a lot better than what it looked like before. So here's the two. This is getting confusing. So this is without the meter pre. And that's with meter pre. So that's gain stage properly. Hope that makes sense. Then you want to just gain stage all your different sounds using the A console. Drums, give yourself some more headroom, -26 dBFS, and then for all the other instruments, -18. If you need to use a meter pre, you can. You can also turn it down as well if you need to. So on this one, the mallets, I've had to push a bit of warmth in there just to get a bit more signal. And that's on hitting around -16, -18 in Logic, and almost hitting 0 dBFS on the VU meter. So that's exactly where we want to be. So that's A console across the channels. You want to use the channel module. When you go into the buses now, you want to change it to the bus module, which you can do by easily clicking on that little icon there on the left and choosing bus. Put that across all your buses. Open up an instance on your main app, click on the options and click on master grouping. So I can't do that because I've already got one on there. When you do click on master grouping, it's going to open up a whole another mixer window for you. Now you can group all your different sounds to each fader, name them. Now you have the option, the possibility to control all your sounds, all your buses, your groups from these faders. You can add some extra saturation. You can bypass them. You can add high cut, low cut. You can add even more saturation. Add the fat knob. You can change the crosstalk, modern, vintage, no crosstalk, and they all give a different sound. You can push more signal. You can turn it up by the fader. You can use the faders to balance your mix even further if you need to. You can control the saturation for the whole module, or you can do it individually. So you've got option to change what the fader's doing. You can control both, or you can control your buses, or you can just control your channels. And yeah, there's plenty of options for you to mess around with to get your sound. So that's the A Console. Adds a little something to your music. It's supposed to be vintage style. So if you like vintage, then this is a good little plugin. Personally, I prefer the N Console because I feel like it gives me more depth to my mixes. But having both is nice because depending on what I'm working on, I can switch from the A Console or the N Console to see which one gives me that flavor, that sauce that I'm looking for in the mix. So if you've used the A Console or the N Console or anything from Sonimus, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of their products. I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing, and I like this because when I'm mixing now, I just feel like I'm using a board because I've got all these different plugins that as my first insert, and I'm gain staging properly, and it just, I don't know, I like the workflow. It just feels inspiring to mix. So yeah, that's why I like it. Keep creating, keep mixing, and I'll see you in the next one.